Planning Commission renamed as Niti Aayog, Prime Minister to be the chairperson, governing council to comprise of all the chief ministers and lieutenant governors. New Year bonanza for consumers. Price of non-subsidized cooking gas cut by 43.50 rupees per cylinder. Relief for airlines as jet fuel ATF prices also cut by a steep 12.5%. Markets end flat on the first day of the year. Sensex gains 8 points to end at 27,508. Nifty ends up just 1 point. And cars, SUVs and two-wheelers to become expensive from today, with government deciding not to extend the reduced excise duty rates provided to the sector. Well, hello and welcome to Doordarshan News. I'm Sidhant Sibal, and today is the first day of this year, and the entire team of Business Wrap and Business News wishes all its viewers to you a happy new year and a profitable new year 2015. And before we start the bulletin, here are some glimpses of the past year 2014, all the images of the year 2014, what happened, Abenomics, well, the fall in the Russian economy and other stories. There you have it on your screens. That was what happened in the last year, but a new year, a new beginning. And starting with our staple, that's the market action. The year started on a flat note. Key benchmark indices eked out tiny gains on the first trading session of the calendar year 2015. Trading activity was quiet with total trade volume and turnover being low. The market breadth indicating the overall health of the market was strong. Shares of paint makers rose as crude oil prices fell yesterday. That's 31st December 2014. Airline stocks jumped after PSU OMCs reduced aviation turbine fuel prices for the 6th successive month in January 2015. Jet fuel or aviation turbine fuel or ATF typically makes up almost half of an airline's operating profit. Operating cost price of jet fuel are directly linked to the crude oil prices. Jet Airways jumped by almost 9.9% and SpiceJet jumped by almost 4.65%. Bharti Airtel 3.16%, BHEL 1.7% and Bajaj Auto up by 0.97%. And these were the stocks which led the Sensex to jump in the session. Metals and mining stocks were in demand or renewed buying, but auto stocks witnessed selling pressure today after the government announced ending excise duty concessions for the cars and durable goods. Mahindra & Mahindra fell by 1.85%. Eicher Motor down by 1.63% on the BSE. Among the 30 Sensex shares, 19 stocks gained and the remaining shares declined. In the overseas markets, European and Asian stocks remained closed today, 1st of January 2015, for a New Year holiday. But before we move, here's a look at how the markets performed in the last year.
It was a blockbuster year 2014 for the stock markets. Markets witnessed a fantastic bull run, resulting in best performance in the last 5 years. Investors' wealth hit 100 trillion rupees level for the first time in the history. Stock markets hit new peaks in 2014 on the hope of pro-business reforms by the new government led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Decline in the crude prices in the later half of the year also helped the bulls to reach to the new highs. Sensex rallied by nearly 30%. This is the highest annual gain since the year 2009, when the blue chip index had rallied by 7,817 points. Nifty also reflected the same mood and rallied by 30%. However, the mid-cap and small-cap space outperformed the indices and were up by 53% and 66% respectively. The major gainers on the charts for the year were led by Axis Bank, Maruti Suzuki, State Bank of India, ICICI Bank and Cipla, which were up by between 56 to 91%. However, some passive participation was seen in Tata Steel, Tata Power, Reliance and Wipro, which were down by 1 to 6%. Gainers on the charts in Group A were Gujarat Fluoro, Eicher Motor, Ashok Leyland, Bharat Forge and Aurobindo Pharma, which were up by between 185% to 225%. However, some selling pressure was seen in Bhushan Steel, Core Education, JP Associates, Jindal Steel and Reliance Communication, which were down by between 38% to 82%. Experts attribute the rally in stock markets during 2014 largely to the thumping mandate given in general elections to Narendra Modi-led government at the centre and the subsequent boost to the investor sentiments. Analysts also believe that the rally can also continue in 2015 and banking and infrastructure sector can play a crucial role in lifting the markets to new record highs. Business Desk, DD News.
So a start of a bull rally, Sensex and Nifty giving a return of almost 30%. The Sensex almost gained 6,000 points. It started the year with a level of 19,000 and ended the year around 27,000. Well, moving on, in a good news for consumers, the price of non-subsidized cooking gas has been cut by 43.50 rupees for a cylinder. This is the 6th straight cut in the prices of non-subsidized LPG. Also, ATF or jet fuel prices have been cut, which will give a boost to the aviation industry.
LPG consumers will have a Happy New Year 2015. The price of non-subsidized cooking gas LPG was cut by 43.5 rupees per cylinder on a day when each of us were wishing each another a prosperous year ahead. The announcement comes as oil prices fell on Wednesday to a 5.5 low and ended with the second biggest annual decline ever. In Kolkata, a non-subsidized LPG cylinder will cost 746 rupees. In Mumbai and Chennai, the price of cylinder has been cut to 725 rupees and 705 rupees respectively. A 14.2 kg cylinder of non-subsidized LPG will now cost 708 rupees, down from 752 rupees in Delhi. This is the 6th straight reduction in the rates of non-subsidized or market price LPG, which customers buy after exhausting the quota of 12 cylinders at subsidized rates after August 2014. In the 6th monthly reduction, non-domestic LPG rates have been slashed by 214 rupees per cylinder. On similar lines, aviation turbine fuel or jet fuel rates have been cut by a steep 12.5%. The 5th straight reduction in prices since August on back of falling international oil prices. The price of ATF at Delhi was cut by 7,520 rupees per kiloliter to 52,423 rupees per kiloliter. Jet fuels constitutes more than 40% of an airline's operating cost, and the price cut will ease financial burden on the cash-strapped carriers. Business Bureau, DD News.
So good news for the consumers. Moving on, LPG consumers across the country will from today get a cash subsidy directly into their bank accounts so that they can buy cooking fuel at market price. Domestic LPG users will get almost 568 rupees in bank accounts the moment they join the direct transfer scheme for LPG, which has now been renamed PEHL. Currently, the subsidized LPG costs around 470 rupees per cylinder, while a market price refill costs around 708 in Delhi, 708 rupees in Delhi. It will be priced higher in other cities depending on local taxes. Well, the big reform measure of the day, the Planning Commission, which was established in 1950, will be called as Niti Aayog in its new avatar. Months after Prime Minister Narendra Modi has announced that it will be replaced by a new body. Niti Aayog is an acronym for the National Institute for Transforming India. Prime Minister will be the chairperson of the new body, while the Governing Council will constitute all the Chief Ministers and Lieutenant Governors. The institution will serve as a think tank of the government, a directional and a policy dynamo. The Niti Aayog will provide governments at the central and state levels with relevant strategic and technical advice across the spectrum of key elements of policy. The decision comes nearly 3 weeks after Prime Minister Narendra Modi held consultations with chief ministers at a meeting where most favoured restructuring of the socialist-era body. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had announced in his Independence Day speech that the Planning Commission would be replaced by a new body which is in sync with the contemporary economic world. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has tweeted also. He has tweeted about the Niti Aayog. He said a landmark change is the inclusion of all the chief ministers and lieutenant governors of the union territories in the Niti Aayog. This will foster cooperative federalism, a word which in a sense has been devised by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He has also talked about Team India during his consultation with the chief ministers almost 3 weeks back. Well, moving on, in a bid to provide better security to women in Delhi, Home Minister Rajnath Singh on Thursday launched a mobile phone-based application, Himmat. The minister also distributed pepper sprays at the launch of the application. In another major step, Home Minister Rajnath Singh has asked states for 33% representation of women in police force.
कानून और व्यवस्था की जिम्मेदारी मैं मानता हूं कि पुलिस की होती है, गृह मंत्रालय की होती है, और मैं समझता हूं कि समाज तभी सिक्योर हो सकता है जबकि समाज में रहने वाले गरीब, कमजोर और साथ ही महिलाएं जब अपने को सुरक्षित महसूस करें, तब यह विश्वास के साथ कहा जा सकता है कि यह समाज पूरी तरह से सुरक्षित है। सारे देश के बारे में मैं यह कहना चाहूंगा कि हमारे मंत्रालय से एक एडवाइजरी सभी राज्यों को जारी की गई है कि पुलिस में भी महिलाओं का कम से कम 33% का प्रतिनिधित्व होना चाहिए।
Well, the app allows users to call a police control room and also trigger a 30-second audio and video recording at the press of phone's power button. It will enable police personnel to reach the spot at the earliest. Ahead of the launch, Delhi Police Commissioner B.S. Basi said Himmat is the first integrated women safety app in the country. So the year starting on a note on security of the women in the country.
1064 पर भी भेज सकते हैं, परंतु
ये एक महिला सुरक्षा को बहुत मजबूत करेगी, क्योंकि इस सेलफोन स्मार्टफोन बेस्ड एप्लीकेशन जो भी महिला अपने सेलफोन पे डाउनलोड कर लेगी, अगर उसे कभी भी कोई इमरजेंसी पड़ती है, जब उसे पुलिस की मदद की आवश्यकता होगी, अगर वो इस फोन को शेक करेगी या जो बटन है जो उसको दबाएगी या जो स्विच ऑफ स्विच ऑन बटन होता है उसको 2-3 बार प्रेस करेगी या 5-6 बार प्रेस करेगी, तो सीधी जो है उसका लिंक पुलिस कंट्रोल रूम से हो जाएगा और वहां पर पुलिस कंट्रोल रूम से उसकी लोकेशन भी आएगी। लोकेशन पता चलेगा तो उसके द्वारा जो है पुलिस की पीसीआर वैन को वहां पर भिजवाया जा सकेगा।
Well, the Prime Minister has greeted girl, children and young women on New Year's Day. The Prime Minister made an impromptu stop outside Vigyan Bhavan in New Delhi while returning from the Vice President's residence. He greeted girl, children and young women who had gathered there in connection with the launching of the Himmat app, a mobile application for women's safety. Well, moving on, the government has withdrawn the excise duty concessions to the auto industries. The Finance Ministry has decided not to extend the concessions further. The concessions were given by the UPA government in the interim budget in February, which were later extended by the NDA government till 31st December. In case of SUVs, the excise duty has been reduced to 24% from 30%, whereas in mid-size cars, it has been reduced to 20% from 24%. It was slashed from 27% to 24% for the large cars. AR correspondent reports that the decision of not extending the concession on the cars, SUVs and two-wheelers will in a sense cause these cars to become expensive from today. Well, continuing with the auto sector, country's largest car maker Maruti Suzuki India today reported a 20.8% increase in total sales in December at 109,791 units. Sales of compact segment cars comprising Swift, Estelo, Ritz, Desire rose by 23% to 41,532 units in December. Hyundai Motors reported a 21% jump in total sales at 59,365 units in December 2014. Toyota Kirloskar Motor today reported a 7.97% increase in total sales to 13,628 units in the last month. Auto major Mahindra & Mahindra reported 8% decline in the total sales at 36,328 units. Also, the country's largest two-wheeler maker, Hero MotoCorp, reported a marginal rise of 0.21% in sales at 5,26,097 units in December 2014. And lastly, TVS Motor Company reported a 20.3% increase in total sales at 1,91,880 units in December 2014. The Chennai-based company had sold 1,59,495 units in the same month of the previous year. Well, some good news for the Indian consumer. Daily crude oil price of the Indian basket now stands at $53.53 per barrel as of yesterday, against $53.81 per barrel on Tuesday. In rupee terms, the price of Indian crude basket decreased to 3,390.05 rupees per barrel on yesterday, as compared to 3,430.39 rupees per barrel a day before yesterday. That's a fall of almost 40 rupees. The information is compiled by the Petroleum Planning and Analysis Cell under the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. But more or less a good news for the Indian consumer, because since the fact that the Indian crude oil basket, as the price has fallen, it will of course translate into positive news for the Indian customers, because now they have to pay less, and this can also likely in a sense translate into some kind of cut in near future. Well, some more good news for the Indian economy. According to the latest government data, India's annual infrastructure output growth accelerated to a 5-month high of 6.7% in November, driven by higher production of cement and refinery products. The output expanded 6.3% year-on-year in October. The infrastructure sector, which otherwise is known as 8 core sector, that comprises coal, crude oil refining, natural gas, steel, cement and electricity, also fertilizer, accounts for 37.9% of India's industrial output. 8 core sector registered a growth of 6.7% in November, as against 3.2% in the same month last year. But obviously it is going to translate into positive IIP numbers, because November's IIP number was down by almost minus 4.2%. Obviously this will give a boost to the IIP number when they come for the month of December. Well, on to other news from the aviation sector. Indian aviation regulator DGCA has been focusing on passenger safety and security at the utmost priority level. The concerted efforts of the DGCA have shown desired results, and there has been no helicopter accident during the year 2014, in spite of increased operations on account of Lok Sabha elections, state elections and seasonal pilgrimage operations. During Lok Sabha elections in the year 2014, a total of 6,899 hours were flown by helicopters from 24th March to 11th May 2014. In order to ensure the safety of the aircraft operations and compliance with the regulators, DGCA has introduced heightened surveillance inspections. These inspections have commenced from March 2014. So positive news coming there from the aviation sector in terms of the fact that a less number of accidents were reported in the year 2014. But more or less, when we look at the aviation sector in the year 2014, not so good news and not so bad news. It was a mixed bag in a sense. We saw 2 new airlines, Vistara and of course Air Asia, being announced, but the future of the SpiceJet looks in a sense very tricky, or in a maze, because of all the factors we all know. But hopefully in the year 2015 there will be more positive news coming for the aviation sector. Well, moving on, people across the country welcome 2015 with great excitement. Gatherings and celebrations were seen at marketplaces, restaurants, malls, and New Year was celebrated amidst tight security. Well, there you have it on your screens, all the images of last night's party going on across the country. And DD News and also all the team members of Business Wrap and Business Morning wish all of you a happy new year, a profitable new year and a prosperous new year, and a year full of optimism. And today is the first day of a new chapter in this book of 2015. Well, moving on, President Pranab Mukherjee greeted the nation on the eve of the new year. In his message, President said, and I quote, "I extend warm greetings and best wishes to all fellow citizens for a happy and prosperous new year. Let 2015 be a year of peace, progress and harmony. Let us abhor violence and maintain maximum vigilance against all efforts from within or without to disturb peace and security. Let us celebrate pluralism and promote tolerance and understanding amongst all communities. Let the new year be dedicated to the creation of an inclusive society where goodwill and brotherhood prevails amongst all people. Let us work with heart and soul and without distraction to take our nation to new heights of achievement." Well, the Vice President also greeted the nation on the occasion, and I quote, "Warm greetings and best wishes to all the citizens on the advent of the new year 2015. May the new year be the harbinger of happiness, good health and prosperity for all," unquote. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also greeted nation a very happy new year. The Prime Minister in his tweet said that wishing you and your family a wonderful 2015. May this year bring immense happiness, peace and prosperity in everyone's life. From New Zealand to Britain to North Korea, millions around the world celebrated when the clock ticked past midnight, ringing in 2015 with massive fireworks displays, concerts and light shows. Dazzling display of fireworks lit up the Sydney harbour on Thursday as Australia's biggest city welcomed the new year in a spectacular style. Well, Australia is one of the first countries to welcome a new year and 2015, and other countries, of course, are Japan and Korea and Beijing, and of course in India almost 12 hours have passed since the first day of this year, and so far lots of positive news coming in, whether it's on the reform measures, new Niti Aayog coming into existence, or it's the big cut in the price of non-subsidized cylinder, or the cut in the ATF prices. So the first day has been good, and of course good news will, of course, we all hope that good news come in this year, the year of 2015. Well, moving on, commercial power generation in the first 1,000 megawatt unit of Kurakulam nuclear power project commenced after the Nuclear Power Corporation of India Limited had permitted the commercial production of power following a trial period. KNPP Station Director R.S. Sundar said that through the unit has been running at full capacity of 1,000 megawatts since last 10 days. The commercial operations would get KNPP better tariff from the grid. The first 1,000 megawatt reactor attained criticality on July 13, 2013, and power generation was gradually increased amidst mandatory tests stipulated by the Atomic Energy Regulatory Board. And now, before we end, we have this exclusive conversation with Lord Meghna Desai, renowned international economist, who is confident about a strong roadmap which can revive the Indian economic growth in the upcoming budget. Here's a report.
So viewers, we have with us a renowned economist, Padma Bhushan, Lord Meghna Desai with us. Hello, sir. Thanks for being a part of this interview. Sir, current economic situation, if we just look at the global situation, also the Indian situation, every economy is actually interlinked, intertwined. In such a scenario, we have a fractured global economy across, leaving apart United States. How do you think Indian economic situation currently is in an efficient position to tackle the negative effects of this fractured global economy?
Well, I think every economy across the world has to face the problem that the developed countries are going to be in stagnation for a while. They're not going to be able to resume growth very soon. So a big market that developing countries used to have to export to is going to be very tight. And therefore, countries will have to increasingly rely on their own domestic markets or markets of each other, of the emerging economies will have to rely on each other's. You see, India has traditionally been not as dependent upon exports as China and other countries. So to that extent, if our growth faltered, It was because of our own domestic policy problems. So what is important is that the new government actually gets rid of those domestic policy distortions, especially there was the policy paralysis. That is gone because the government is active, is being very decisive, and then it doesn't choose the right policies.
Well, that's all. But before we leave, let's take a look at the headlines of Business Wrap. What are the main headlines? Starting with Planning Commission renamed as Niti Aayog, Prime Minister to be the chairperson, Governing Council to comprise of all Chief Ministers and Lieutenant Governors. New Year bonanza for the consumers. Price of non-subsidized cooking gas cut by 43.50 rupees per cylinder. ATF prices also cut by a steep 12.5%. Markets end flat on the first day of the year. Sensex gains 8 points to end at 27,508. Nifty ends up just 1 point. And cars, SUVs and two-wheelers to become expensive from today, with the government deciding not to extend the reduced excise duty rates provided to the sector. Well, that's all in this edition of Business Wrap. Thanks for watching. Namaskar and have a profitable and prosperous New Year 2015.